Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing amazing. So in today's video, as usual, we're going to talk about a wide range of things, as like we always do, right? However, we need to start with President Trump announcement that came out on, I believe, on Friday. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's more like the update from the what's it called again? The Middle East conflict with the United between United States, Israel, and Iran. So just to summarize everything, you can read up on that yourself. President Trump has finally made a unilateral decision, okay, that is going to lift the sanctions and the U.S. blockade in Iran. Okay, as you can see right here, as Trump is due, Iran faced inflation and unemployment from sanctions and U.S. blockade. And last week Friday, before the market actually closed, okay, U.S. and Iran in the midst of intense negotiation and memorandum, blah 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 blah, while lifting okay, so understanding that that could end the current war, while lifting the blockade on Iran and gradually resuming the global maritime access to the Strait of Hormuz on Friday morning. Now Trump posted on True Social, okay, now Trump posted on True Social a list of requirements for Iran in any negotiated agreement, including commitment to a nuclear program and resumption of access to the strait in exchange for financial compensation. And now this is the important stuff, okay? So this is it. Number one, President Trump said, right, during a press conference, the naval blockade will be lifted. That's number one. Number two, the US Treasury bond continued their upward trend. I mean, we're going to talk all about this today because that is the effect of all these things. Okay, all the reports, all the updates from President Trump. So we're going to talk all about this later. President Trump again, a meeting will be held now to make a final decision on the Iran issue. Iran must agree that they will never have nuclear weapon and bombs, which is the FCPOA or something like that. I've actually forgotten the acronyms, okay, but definitely you know what I'm talking about, which is the nuclear program that we read earlier. Okay, the Strait of Hormuz must be opened immediately and without tolls, meaning the $2 million tolls for every passage that Iranian government kind of imposed for all the ferries, all the vessels that are going to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, that has to be gone. Because imagine paying $2 million every time you pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz, as reported, carries roughly around 25%, 25% of global oil shipments. Okay, that is the kind of that means for every 10 vessels that move out every day, okay, that distribute oil all around the world, up to four pass through the Strait of Hormuz. That is a lot. Okay, that is a lot, and that is what I mean. Up to four, yeah, literally up to four. Okay, that is a lot. So now the tolls has to go. It literally has to go, actually. So, and then it has to be open immediately. Now, people are saying the strait was never closed. There were no tolls before, but because of this war, which is the reason why some people are actually arguing that it is a no use war. Okay, nobody really needed it, right? Everybody was doing fine. There's always bickering. There's always pointing of fingers. There's always going to be that throughout the entire humanity, right? Because people will actually have to be people sometimes, like awful people, good people all around the globe. I'm not here to tell you all about that, you know them stuff. But again, the bickering can continue on the ground side. Everybody can keep talking about each other anyhow they want. But the more you start throwing bombs, yeah, that is a whole different thing. Okay. And that's what happened. And for every action, there's gonna be a consequences and there's gonna be a reaction. And this is now President Trump reacting to, I mean, acting on something, there is a reaction, and now he's acting again. Okay, can these be trusted though? Okay, is the $300 billion gonna go through? Is there gonna be a lift of the United States blockade? Is this another 8D chess or 25K or 4K chess that Trump is playing? Nobody knows. All right, and that is why some Iranian reporters are calling it a mix of truth and lies. You really cannot tell. Okay, it is very hard to know. Okay, so stating that Trump had committed upfront economic concession and agreed to make Iran and commitment agreed to make to Iran and commitment to immediately end the war in Lebanon and falsely portray Iran's own agreed commitment about its nuclear program and future control of Strait. The report added that Iran was still waiting to give final approval to any deal while continuing to negotiate with complete distrust of America, which is exactly what is still going back and forth. Okay, now, why am I saying all of this? What is the impact? What has the impact been in the last couple of weeks? And this is the beginning of it. Okay. when Donald Trump started talking, okay, the list of assets that's actually been impacted. Let's start from there. The list of assets have been impacted since the war started. Okay, since this particular war started, the list of assets that have been impacted is gold. Okay, we have silver. Okay, we have gold, we have silver, we have dollar index DXY, right? We have the US bond. Okay, let's just say 10 years bond. Okay, BND. Okay, we also have, I'm not sure about cryptocurrency. I don't really think crypto is heavily impacted like that. Then we have the oil market. Okay, oil and Brent. Okay, they all mean the same thing, anyways. So the US oil and the UK oil. So US oil and Brent is UK oil. So we have these assets that they are literally the leaders of the free world, of the global world. Gold and silver, they are the leader of the commodity market. Okay, oil, all right, oil and natural gas, excuse me. Let me just say oil and natural gas and nat gas. Okay. Oil and nat gas, they are the leader of the energy market. Okay. Energy market. You see, dollar index and the 10 years bond or whatever, they had literally, there's no other currency that can match with the level of strength that the level of dominance of the United States dollar in the global market. None like that. So dollar is the leader of the currency market. Okay, and gold and silver are the leader of the commodity market. Okay, and if you go back to when this war actually started, which is the end of March, we have March, April, May. Now we are heading to June, so we have 3 months. That's like 90 plus days of this war, right? So we have gold and silver dropping crazily, right? We have DXY trapped in a range, inconsistent, unstable, and then we have US oil and natural gas acting so wild. Now, what are the impacts? What are really the strength of all of these assets? Number one, when it comes to oil, dollar and oil, as a matter of fact, dollar breathe freely in the global space because of oil. That's why we have what we call petrodollar. And yes, we have the entire of the new fun stuff, okay, which is, let's just put it this way. Okay, we have the climate change, and we have some activities that surround climate change, which one way or another or tangentially kind of go against the essence of oil, because they believe that oil is the primary source of air pollution, water pollution, which arguably it is true. All right. But then again, the world has been running on the oil, the traditional oil that we all know and use, crude oil. So literally everything works on oil. The only thing that can stand aside, that can be like, yeah, I'm not, without oil, I can still breathe freely, is will be gold and silver. But for gold and silver to be mined, even, we still need some oil. All right, we still need some oil for to use the kind of heavy machinery to operate the mining of gold and silver, including everything about Bitcoin. All of them run on oil. Even to print the dollar, oil, and dollar is quote unquote backed by oil instead of gold, right? Because the fact that the oil market is quoted with the dollar, that makes dollar more valuable to in the global market. Okay, so that is how it goes. So oil is the primary source of everything, literally. Okay, when it comes to the global market, I'm not saying the world entirety or universe. All right, now, so back to what I'm saying. Okay, Trump is saying that the meeting will be held and there'll be a final decision in Iran issues. They must agree to whatever. They must agree to never having a nuclear weapon and bombs. The Strait of Hormuz must be open immediately and without tolls. Okay, we've talked about the tolls, right? Is there any other thing? Yes, all mines, if there exist, will be cleared. We have cleared many of these mines by detonating them. Okay, so they said they detonate some of them. I saw some clips on X about the detonation. All right, so and the naval blockade will also be lifted. That's also Trump's talking about that. And what are the effects of this? The U.S. Treasury bond continued their upward trend, while the U.S. dollar index fell to an intraday low, currently trading at 98.8. Okay, we saw that happen on Friday, and also we saw that gold rally to 45.60 pounds, up to like 1.43%. At some point later, it was up like 2%. Okay, on Friday, and the futures of gold climbed to 4,600 per ounce, up to like 1.49% on the day. All right, so all of this happened on Friday as a effect of what Trump said. Okay, as a result of what Trump said. And again, some people still don't believe it. A mix of what? A mix of truth and lies. All right, a mix of what? A mix of truth and lies. So, what do we believe in? Okay, we just have to watch next few days. Okay, we're gonna see there is a word. that has been spoken, then the action that follows is actually what is most important now. Okay, it's always going to be about the action, the effect of this. We've seen it, but the action that follows that will now cement the true intent of this whole thing. Okay, the true intent is this another 4K chess, or is it another 4D chess, or is it just a draft that would never gonna get followed up, or is President Trump actually genuine this time? Okay, I don't want to tell you what is going to happen. I mean, you're going to see it yourself. All right, unless you're not following it very closely. So that is that on the latest update in the geopolitics realm, right? I just said let me rant a little bit and share that with you. Now, moving on to the technicals, the actual. No, let's not go to the technicals yet. Let's talk about the fundamentals yet. All right, first. So right here on the fundamental front, we still have let's start with the US, the economic surprise meter, and that would be we have dollar at 40%, okay, slowing down by the minute. Pound now at 33%. Well, from 100% to 33%, we're gonna have to look into that. We didn't do that last week, but we're gonna do it. I think we did last week. I can't remember. Kiwi is still at 71%. Why? Because New Zealand, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, okay, they still plan to hike some rates, right? And then also we have some unemployment rate data that came out from New Zealand last week. Okay, we have some their New Zealand inflation rate. I think we have some GDP data that came out. We're also going to take a look at that so as to know the full gist about why the New Zealand dollar is actually this pretty hot. All right, and we have CAD at 7%, Chinese yuan at 83%, Euro at 50%, right? And then we have Japanese yen at 57. We have Aussie at 17. Aussie is pretty weak right now. I have a plan to buy Aussie dollar, right? I want to short Aussie Kiwi and I want to short Aussie Swiss as well. A counter trend trade. It's always never going to be, it's a very tricky one when I'm trying to counter trend because I just lose a trade on Swiss yen. Counter trending that one, but it didn't play out the way I wanted it to. I'm going to share that with you later. All right, but it is what it is. Swiss also at 71%. I'm currently shorting Swiss, dollar Swiss. So I think that's good. And we have South African rand at 67%, which is also an averagely good. Okay, so that's first. Secondly, let's start with the US economic heat map. We're gonna just do it briefly, step by step. Looking at all of this, we have the US quarterly GDP came out last week. I think last week Thursday, thereabout. Is it last week Thursday? I think last week Thursday. Yes, yesterday was 29th, so 28th was Thursday. So yeah, it came out pretty low, below what was forecasted. Okay, it came below what was forecasted at 2%. So we got a bearish reading for the dollar and for the stock impact on that one. And then we still have the manufacturing PMI, service PMI, retail sales. The general economy literally is not booming. Okay, everything looks very, very weak right now. Retail sales at 0.5% from 1.7%. From 1.7 is not very good. Okay, people are slowly now buying stuff in the United States. Oil market is pretty hot. So inflation is already in. It's not just starting, inflation is already elevated. And you can see that from what's it called again? From CPI, PPI, and PCE. Okay, you can see right here we have the CPI, the PPI, and the PCE right there. Okay, where is it again? So we have CPI right here at 3.8%. We have PPI right here at 6.0%, and we have PCE at 3.3%, which is slightly elevated above previous. Okay, PCE previous was around 3.2% right here. So overall, inflation is getting very hot. Okay, they are tuning the tone of inflation up in the United States slowly, and that is very concerning in a way. Okay, but overall, we have to just relax right now and watch out how this goes in general. All right, now back to the labor data. We've talked about the growth. Okay, the economic growth. We talk about inflation. Now let's talk about the labor market. Okay, this is the labor market. We're talking about the wage growth. Okay, we've actually explained this last week. Unemployment rate, initial jobless claim, JOLTS, ADP, non-farm payroll. None of them really looks good. Aside the ADP, I mean, not even ADP, I'm talking about JOLTS. Aside JOLTS, every other thing looks very weird, right? Non-farm payroll, not good. I'm not going to call this good, okay? I'm not going to call this good at all because when you compare it with previous, it was low, but forecast it was priced down, but it's slightly elevated what the previous was. But still, the actual is not very good, not encouraging at all. I was expecting 200 and something K, 200K plus. Yeah, I would take that. But anything below 200K, not good NFP in my personal opinion. All right. So overall, I think this is good. The US stock market 20% and S&P 500 is still pretty hot. You can see the impact of oil market right now. So that's what we're talking about. So let's take a look at the UK economic heat map. I think we must have some latest data releases. No, but we still have 33%. We had some latest data though. Where is the calendar? So let's take a look at last week's calendar. This is it. So from pound, we have Where's UK? Excuse me. Let's go to the week before that. What's going on? All right, yeah. This right here we have jobless claim. That was on the 19th. That was the last time we had the latest data in the United Kingdom. And I still don't know. That was 19, yeah. 22, 21. I don't know, right? What changed? Nothing has changed so far. All right. But so far so good since 20, oh, excuse me for that. Since 21, I mean we got some data that came out I think a week before. Let it again. A week before, yeah. These are the UK data that came out. They were not listed among the alt data, so we're gonna have to go for the medium data. So apply filter, it hasn't been applied yet. Let's go to just GBP alone, okay? Because it's very important to know and be able to track all these data, right? Because it's actually very important to track all these data. Very, very important. All right, these are they. These all of them. So we have on the 19th, the jobless claim came very, very, very bad. Okay, average hourly earnings was elevated slightly. Okay, they had in the United Kingdom they had a slight average hourly earnings from 3.9%, which is the previous. The market was expecting 3.8, but it actually beat 3.8, which is and the result was I mean the actual was 4.1, which was very good for the UK. Okay, for the currency for the economy it was good, but the jobless claim came very high, right? From 4.9 thousand people claiming they don't have a job. The market was forecasting and expecting 23,000 people. And then we got 26.5K, 26,500 numbers of people filed that they don't have a job. That is not good. CPI also came slightly lower, which is not good for the currency, by the way, but it's good for the economy. Okay, monetary policy earnings, there's no update on that. But I think we also had Governor Bailey's speech last week, which is something you want to probably read into. And we also have flash manufacturing PMI, the service PMI as well. Service PMI came very bad. Flash stay at the top, really good. And then we have the retail sales is also not very good. Okay, from negative 0.6 to negative 1.3. So inflation is bad. Retail sales is not doing very good, and the economic growth, none of itself, is also not very good. So I get why we are not getting some very awful reading from the United States, from the United Kingdom right now. Retail sales, inflation, okay, CPI, PPI, all of them looks very elevated, and that is not good for the economy. So UK now, you have to be cautious the way you approach it. All right. The only data that came very good for the United Kingdom this month so far is manufacturing PMI and the slight decrease in the price in CPI. Okay, but the CPI in and of itself, the coldness in CPI doesn't mean this is good for across board. It's only good for the economy, not good for the currency. All right, it is not good. It's bearish for the currency. So overall, I get this now because before earlier this month we saw UK economy at 100%, and when you see something like this, you have to do your research. You have to dig deep. Like what happened, what changed, and we can now see that this is what happened. The data changes, and the market also kind of change alongside it. So we can now start looking into shorting GJ. Should we have GJ here? Pound yen. Yeah, we have pound yen now with the bearish. So I actually have a bearish bias on pound yen, which I'll be taking soon. Pound dollar, I'm definitely not going to be selling pound dollar for sure. But pound Swiss, yes. Pound Kiwi, yes. Okay. I'm not sure I have them penned down for my technical analysis, but if you can take a look at it yourself, and if it makes sense, those might be something you might want to look into moving forward. Japanese yen economy, I don't think we want to look into that. I think we want to look into NZD. So NZD at 71%. We were asking ourselves earlier, what changed, right? What happened? So let's go to NZD here. Let's apply filter, right? Let's apply filter. So, what changed in the NZD economy? All right, let's take a look at it. We don't have anything for this one. Let's look for more. All right, we have, yeah, inflation is still, I mean, interest rate is still at 2.25%. And we have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand not here. I don't know why it's not pegged here. But Reserve Bank of New Zealand have planned to hike rate, I believe, right? Nothing like that here. All right, so let's just jump straight into the full picture. So right here, the full economic picture. Anyway, CPI, PPI, both came quite higher, a little bit elevated. All right, above previous, right, and that is screaming bullish for the currency, right, but not very good for the economy, right. We have GDP also at 0.2%, slightly lower from what is forecasted and previous. So that is not good for the economy at all. Manufacturing PMI is on the other hand still at 50%, still kind of good. All right. Service PMI also 48.9, not good, but it beats previous, right? So we call that good, slightly good, right? Call that slightly good. Retail sales became pretty higher than what was forecasted. We kind of equate with what the previous. So that's slightly good. Unemployment rate slowed down very well from 5.4% to 5.3% by negative 1.0.1. That's also very good. So overall, New Zealand economy looks good. So something like NZD yen, NZD dollar might be something you want to start buying. And I'm currently buying NZD dollar actually. I mean, you know me, I'm always all in, right? I like Kiwi dollar to be honest with you. It looks like a very chill currency to look into. And I don't really know why the Reserve Bank of New Zealand update is not here or is not among the list of central bank here. But I guess it is what it is, right? I guess it is what it is. So, I mean, let me see if it's actually here. No, it is not. Okay, it is actually not. So, anyway, that's that. By the way, maybe they're gonna input it later. I don't know. But Reserve Bank of Australia, which is like the very like the neighbor of New Zealand, I think they are leaving their rate unchanged for now. So that might be the stand of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand as well, but we shall see. So now, taking a look at the top setup, in my opinion, I'm going to recommend for you, I would say look into shorting Bitcoin, as I'm also selling it. US oil, I will not recommend, I think I will recommend short sell, right, because we're going to be buying later. Dollar Swiss, look into selling that one. Copper, I'm not sure I would be recommending copper short. I don't think so. Okay. Pound Swiss, yes, I recommend Pound Swiss for you to look into shorting it. Pound New Zealand dollar for sure. Cat Swiss, I think I can recommend Cat Swiss because overall, I think Swiss is pretty strong right now. When you take a look at the economic surprise middle, Swiss is one of the currency that is very strong. Yeah, right here, 71.43%, the same as Kiwi. Okay, so I would say you can look into shorting dollar Swiss, and you can look into shorting CAD Swiss as well. All right, so CAD Swiss, dollar Swiss, yeah, look into shorting them. Which other one? Aussie Kiwi bearish. Yes, I will be looking to short that one myself because I have a counter trend trade. As one of the trade I'm going to share with you before I go today. All right, I didn't take the first short opportunity, but I'm going to be taking the next one after the correction. So GJ, yeah, you can look into shorting GJ as well. I'm not sure about pound card. I'm not sure about dollars are. Euro Swiss, I think it's sellable. It's actually sellable though. But I'm not going to be recommending it. All the Swiss, yeah, you can look into shorting all the Swiss as well. I think we can talk about all the Swiss and all the keep today. All right. I'm just going to have those right now, and I hope the time permits me to talk all about them moving forward. All right. So that is that, by the way. So moving on to the technical analysis right now.